Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, ANITA FINLEY.
Well, this is very exciting now, even though we're all kind of, I would say, cocooned in our homes, hopefully. I have great guests, and we're decided that we're going to continue to do our radio shows, maybe not from the studio, but from where we are very conveniently held up, although I think our first wonderful guest, who is an attorney, is probably in his office. I'm not sure, but he may be doing that. So good morning, Brian MANGINES.
Hi, Anita. How are you? And I am, in fact, in my office.
Yeah, but you're not touching anybody or doing anything, are you?
We are not touching anybody, but we actually have many of our clients want to come in and sign their estate planning documents. We had a lot of these documents in process, and we've not had one client cancel on any of their signings. And, you know, mainly in a situation like this, Anita, we want to be there for our clients. We practice safety. We wipe everything down, the conference room. We stand on the other end of the conference room. We ask that the clients bring their own pens. We wash our hands, taking all that we can. And we're only meeting clients on a as-needed basis. So we're, you know, it's a balancing act. But we're, you know, and right now I'm allowed to be in the office, but my paralegal, Maria, is working mainly remotely, except for the signings, pretty much.
Okay, well, for people who may not know you, I just want to explain, Brian MANGINES is an attorney and is a estate planning attorney, among other things, but he has done a few things. And we're going to talk about this in a little bit. He has written a fantastic book called Faith with Focus. Faith with Focus. How to live your life with passion and rule it with reason. And he was the book of the month for us previously, but I thought it would be good to talk about it, especially now with what we're all going through. It is even more important, your book. I don't know if, you know, once you write a book, Brian, sometimes you don't read it again. But it might be a good thing for you to read it again, and I'm going to read it again.
Well, that's a great idea, and actually, I was thinking I really should go back and reread my book.
Right. I know. Oh, my goodness.
I'm going to go ahead and do that.
Right. You have a little time, although you're still working pretty hard. So maybe before we get into your book, let me ask you, now you did say that your clients are coming in because you do have documents, but tell us exactly, you said that you have a lot more business. Why is that?
Well, I think when a crisis like this hits with coronavirus, you know, some people square up with their own mortality, and people who may have been putting this off, you know, a lot of clients say, I'm going to call you, I need to do the estate plan, I need to amend my current estate plan, I'll call you. But guess what? We all have busy lives, and it's sometimes hard to stop what you're doing and get into the lawyer's office to come and talk about estate planning. And a lot of people don't like to face, you know, the morbid issues that are associated with it. So in this situation, what we've seen is that our clients absolutely want to get into our office and sign their documents, and also they frankly have more time than in the past. So, you know, again, as a you know, in a situation like this, we just kind of want to be as available as we possibly can for our clients, and just let them know that we're here, help them. We're actually getting new clients coming in from the internet and referrals. So, you know, we can do most of our work from, you know, on the computer or by phone. So, but right now, as long as we're allowed to meet, we can meet for the signing of any documents.
Well, I want to give Brian's phone number. So remember, this is Pencil Talk Radio. I'm going to give you the phone number. Write it down, because it's a good time. If you haven't done any estate planning, why not now? Why don't you just do it now? You could do as much over the phone as you can, and it make you feel probably more relaxed about everything. The phone number is 561-245-4709. 245-4709. So, and it's Brian
Interject.
Rand. And it's pardon me.
Can I just interject? What you said is so important. I've never had a client actually go through and sign these documents without feeling relieved. You know, because after you get it done, you tend to feel better about it once it's done.
Yes.
Okay.
I want to spell Brian's last name. MANGINES. 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 And he is located in Boca Raton. So if you work with Brian over the phone and then you have to sign the documents, great. If not, you want to wait to sign them. But at least you ought to talk with him. And I'm sure he's very good over the phone. He's such a nice man, and I know that you'll really enjoy it. So, Brian, tell me what people are saying, some of your clients coming in.
Well, everyone, the clients coming in are pretty calm for the most part, but also cautious. You know, we don't have anyone rushing to try and shake our hand or give us a hug, and none of that. We're all keeping our distance. So no, I don't know of any people at this point that are taking this lightly. Anyone who thought this was not going to be a big deal, I think realizes it is a big deal, and it's going to be here for a while. But I think there's also a resolve, and I think this is really the fabric of our country, which makes us such a great nation that times like this, we bond together, we pull through, and we're going to get through this. Americans, and it really reminds me personally what a great country that we truly live in, because at this point it's all hands on deck, and we're seeing a lot of examples of people, nurses, doctors, other medical professionals, other manufacturers stepping up to produce medical supplies that they never produced before. So I would say most people tend to be upbeat, Anita, and life is going on as much as they're making it possible to go on.
I'll tell you what it's done for me and for a lot of my friends. We are rethinking our lives. And it's a simple, silly little thing, but I'll just say this to you because you know I'm always a little funny. Where we used toilet paper, we just took it off. We used, a lot of it, whatever. I don't do that anymore. I take one or two little sheets, fold them over. Same thing with my paper towels because we don't know when we're going to run out. And I'm conserving things. I'm watching. I bought a lot of food in even before any of this happened, and I'm watching it. I don't have to have a whole can of something. I have a half a can and save it. Thank goodness we have power. We have our electricity, we have our air conditioning and all. But I have changed my whole way of living my life, and I'm going to keep it that way.
Yeah, that is a great example. And, in my book, Faith with Focus, I actually have a quote from Napoleon Hill, who wrote the great book, Think and Grow Rich. And in that book, he says that every adversity and every setback carries with it an equal or greater benefit. And as
wow.
Yes, and as humans, sometimes it's hard to figure out how could this be. But like you said, positive things are going to come out of this in many ways. And I guess that does tie into estate planning. I mean, just, you in a time like this, you start to figure out what really is important in life. And for me, I've been very blessed to have a great family, but I'm also blessed to help so many people help planning for not only themselves, but for their loved ones. And that's what really juices me and gets me into the office every day.
Yeah, and you always have a smile on your face. It's interesting. A lot of lawyers don't smile. I have to say that to you, and I've known a lot. But you are very joyful. And were you always like this, or how did this all happen to you? Was it your family that made you feel this way?
Well, I to answer your question, I've always, I would say, am pretty type B, especially on the outside, pretty easygoing. But I do have some type A personalities grinding on the inside of me, and that's what kind of drives me. But, I think I was actually discussing this with my two daughters who are home. One daughter's home from she works for Walmart.com up in Hoboken, New Jersey, and thank God she's out of there, and she's working from home, very busy.
Oh, right.
Daughter from college, and we were just talking last night, and this is one of that's coming out of this. We're really able to have these conversations with our family members. And I said to my kids, you know what, kids, I believe I was just born with a lot of empathy. I have a lot of empathy for people, and I think that is probably my overriding philosophical guideline in life, is to try and not necessarily feel sorry for people. I'm not talking about being sympathetic, but empathetic, to have the quality to put yourself in that person's shoes, because we're all going through this life, Anita. None of us get out of here without, a few left hooks to the belly, as my dad used to say. And I think being the youngest of 8 kids almost demanded that I be able to roll with the punches. So, yes, I'm generally...
But that's funny because, see, a lot of us were not part of an 8-kid family. That in itself, you must have lived a different life than any of us.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. Actually, the saying in my family growing up was little brothers are the buck privates of the world. So I did call lazy favors, but so maybe that's helped shape some of my natural giving nature. But, like I said, I think at the end of the day, all of us can have empathy for each other, if nothing else.
Yes. So the people, your clients who come in, now you know them pretty well. We've talked about that there are lawyers, and I will tell you this, I've met some who, they look at their computer while you're there, they're working on everything, thank you very much, and then they're gone. That's not who you are, is it? Tell us, when you meet a new client, how you talk to them and what you're thinking.
Well, our whole existence really revolves around the relationships, building strong relationships with our clients. And in a first meeting, and again, I just mentioned I'm the youngest of eight kids, and having seen a lot in my life. I've seen divorces. I've had 2 brothers pass away. I've seen a sister sue a brother, and then they've mended. So I've seen a lot in the family. So when I first meet a client, I try and spend as much time trying to understand what that family dynamic is, because it's very hard to craft a proper estate plan unless you know which people are going to fill the various roles within an estate plan. So, for example, if the son is, just say he's perfect, he's a wonderful man, but he has a controlling wife. So the daughter-in-law is very controlling, and then the question becomes, well, if you name the son, who would do everything by the book, as the trustee in a document, would he in fact really be controlled by his wife, and she would kind of be the de facto trustee? That's kind of an extreme example. And by the way, that applies on both sides. It's daughter-in-laws and son-in-laws. So I really, really try to understand that. The other thing, Anita, that what fascinates me and what I love so much about my job is I am so blessed to have the opportunity to meet with so many wonderful people, a lot of them in their older years, and look back on their lives and just learn and listen to their lives and hear their stories. And for me, it's fascinating. I've seen so many great people from, what Tom Brokaw called the greatest generation, which my parents were a member of. So for me, some of these people are role models. And what happens is when you really develop that bond with a client, it transcends an attorney-client relationship. I mean, it really becomes, a personal relationship. So I'm friends with many of my clients, and I probably know things in my client's life or their situation that probably their closest friends and family probably don't even know. As attorneys, we're bound by attorney-client privileges, and I always say I'm going to take a lot of secrets to my grave. But for me, that's both an honor and a responsibility.
Mhm. Yeah, you are like that. I think when people meet you, they know right away that you're different and you are very special. And I'm so glad that you're able to talk to us on the radio today. I know that a lot of people who are listening do need advice. They do need compassion, and maybe it would be good for us. Could we get into your book a little bit now?
Love to.
It says Faith with Focus, how to live your life with passion and rule it with reason. Tell us about why you wrote the book and what did it do for you when you finished it?
Well, as a person who's run 8 marathons, when I finished the book finally, it felt like I crossed the line of an ultra marathon. The book actually took me about 6.5 years to write. And what prompted me to write it, Anita, was that I had an inner calling that someday I was going to write a book. And I didn't know when. I didn't know exactly what it would be about. But I really had this inner calling. And so chapter 1 of my book is called The Light. And I believe we all have a light or a spark within us. For me, that light emanates from who I call God. Other people may call our maker, universe, whatever term they want to use for an organizing force. But I really believe that if human beings would just follow that own inner light, that light would guide them, it will protect them, and it will see them through tough times like right now. Like if you have nothing else in life going on, if you could just try and grab onto your light and trust that light, and then not let others dissuade you from following your own light, then I really believe that's our way to self-actualization and having a purposeful, meaningful, and frankly, fun life. You know, we should be happy while we're on this.
That's so wonderful. I know in your chapter 1, I have the book in front of me, and it's a wonderful book. I suggest that every one of you order the book. You can get it on Amazon.com. It is such a wonderful it's a little book. It doesn't have, have maybe 200 pages or something like that. I'm just looking at the end, 182 pages, but you won't put it down. Each chapter is like a book in itself. It is so filled with philosophy, but you can feel the pulse of Brian Mangines as you read it. And what he was talking about, the light, and he quoted John Lomax called This Little Light of Mine. It says, "This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine." And you're right, there are people, older adults, many of whom are sitting home now listening, and some of them have lost faith, they've lost hope, they don't have family, but yet they do have a shine. There is a light in them that whether they had it when they were younger, and they just, no one has encouraged them to let it shine, and maybe this show this morning will put some fire into them. I hope so, Brian.
Well, Anita, I really hope so too, because both my in-laws are in an assisted living facility, and they're quarantined right now, and it's very difficult. So again, my heart goes out to anyone who might be in that situation, whether they be in a facility or even at home and feeling a little isolated. But just know that they've gotten through some tough times in their life, and this is really no different, and that just hold on to anything that gives them a spark, that makes them happy. Just try and hold on to that, and then feed that. Just keep feeding that, and that hopefully will get them out of whatever understandable funk that they may be in. But I know it's.
That's good advice, Brian. Really, I love when you talk. And I was just going to say that at the end of your that particular chapter, there's an exercise, and just to give you an example, he says, spend time connecting with your inner light. So if you already have discovered your light, seek to intensify it. Then he says, begin thinking about how you can use your light to help others and yourself. And then today, for the rest of the day, and as often as you can, keep your chin up and smile. Then another one says, stand and walk on the balls of your feet. Then one says, get in tune with your light and let your light shine for no matter what the day may bring. Then here's one. Let your light radiate love, peace, harmony, joy, prosperity, and health to all you meet. There's more, but that's kind of the way this book goes. It's doing wonderful things for me, because this is a hard time for all of us, Brian, and I love your words.
Yeah, well, Anita, so the book is Faith with Focus, and in times like this, a little bit of faith. And again, however you define faith, it's not important how you define your faith. It's important that you have faith, and however you define it is fine. But I always tell people, like, in times of trouble, that's not the time to abandon your faith. That's the time to explore ways to strengthen your faith and hold on to it.
Yeah.
And I think in times like this, that's really, really important, because, you know, for some people, this is really scary and really, really dangerous, you know, depending on their present age and health condition. But, you know, just looking at those exercises, if it was me, I would try and smile. I think of all the exercises in my book, one that probably gets the most accolades is the one where I said just smile. I mean, no matter how bad things are going, smile, smile, smile. And then think about words like joy, harmony. That hopefully will shift your presence and kind of get you back on a more positive vibe.
I'll tell you something that's also helped me, and I know that probably as you deal with older people, we have so many memories, and many more positive ones than negative. And if you could just write it all down, write all the positive memories. Like I walk around my house now and I see pictures and I see artwork, or I see pieces of furniture, or even dishes that we're happy that we bought somewhere. Or if you could just load yourself up with that. That's kind of how I've been getting around all this, because I said, oh my gosh, I've lived such a wonderful life, and this is just a blip in all those years. I mean, if you're as old as I am, then there've been a lot of years, and so many of them, most of them have been very positive.
No, I agree wholeheartedly with that. And again, as I mentioned earlier, you know, one of the greatest joys of being able to do what I do is listening to the life stories of other people and hearing their successes, and it really means something. It's very meaningful, and I don't think people always realize the impact that they have on others. And that's why, again, if you're really, really feeling bad and there's nothing else, and you're smiling and all that, if you could just help anybody, call somebody up, you know, whatever. It's very hard, I think, to go out and help somebody and not feel good about it afterwards.
That's true. And one thing, we are lucky that we have our phones. They're working. And as I said, our electricity is working. And so making a phone call to someone, maybe just to say hello and how are you doing with all this, it's very important. But don't bring misery, bring joy, as you said, because everyone's got to get through this somehow. But please be safe, everyone. And by the way, I just want to repeat, my guest is Brian MANGINES, who is a lawyer. He is an estate planning lawyer. He's located in Boca Raton, but he has he's willing to help you even at this point. You can call him, and I'm going to give you his phone number, 561-245-4709. And that's 561-245-4709. And not only will you be able to get some estate planning ideas, and he'll help you, but you get to talk to this wonderful guy. He's so sweet, and he will talk to you. So I'm really, I'm really very happy that he's, that he's on with us now. I have to tell you, it's such a pleasure. And Brian, I really hope as we kind of close out this interview that you do stay safe and warn all those people that you're dealing with for them to stay safe, and don't watch the news so much, and just make sure that you know who your primary care physician is, so that you can call if you don't feel so well, but don't go anywhere that you don't have to go. I mean, let's just hold that for people who really have to be out there, right?
Yep. And yes, and it just emphasizes that one of the 5 basic documents you want to have in estate planning is good healthcare power of attorney, right?
Yeah.
So that if you make your own medical decisions, who are the doctors going to be able to speak to? Because we have federal laws that protect confidentiality of medical records.
2.
So
that's good. Good advice, Brian. Yes, you need to make sure you have people emergency people on your list, but take emergency people, make a list and put it right in your kitchen, put it on your refrigerator. If you need to make a phone call or if someone comes in and they don't know who to call, make sure you have that list for everybody. So we're, it's funny. We're in a different world now, Brian, but if we can, when we're all going to be over this, then if we just retain some of the things we learned, right?
Yes. I think we need to not have such short memories through this, but we can really practice some gratitude out of all this.
Exactly. By the Faith with Focus book, I'm really hoping people will do that. I need to push it, and I'm going to, when I get a chance later on, instead of watching TV, I'm going to go back and read your book. I'm so thrilled. But, Brian, thank you very much for being with us, and I hopefully will see you at our office not too long from now, okay?
Looking forward to that, Anita. It's always a pleasure. And
always, yes.
Everybody, we're all going to pour through this.
I have a smile on my face because of you, I have to tell you, Brian.
I'm smiling myself.
Okay, thank you very much, and we'll be back, everybody.
Thank you, Anita.